where I sleep when I'm not sleeping in my bathtub or hanging out at a friend's place. It's basically in the stairwell of my building, at the very top of the stairs where no one goes. Yeah, it's quiet up here. It's really warm, almost oppressively warm. But it works. Right up there. The window isn't actually blacked out. It's just dark outside. But the glass is really thick. I'll show you. So you can't really see out of it clearly. Kind of looks like that. But that door basically leads to the roof. And that's it. And that's the bed that I made. Obviously it's not here every night, but when my friends get sick of me and they don't want me sleeping over at their place because I've just been there too often, I come up here. I think the draw is just mainly, it's always bright. The light never goes off. It's really important. It never goes off in the stairwell either. So I feel safe here. I don't think it has an aversion to artificial light, but for the times that I've been in the bathroom and I've kept all the lights on when I go to sleep in the bathtub, it just never comes in. Maybe it just doesn't want me to see it. I don't know. It's pouring outside. You probably can't hear it. Maybe. Torrential downpour. It's too bad I can't go out onto the roof. I know the reason why I can't though. Too many people have jumped off. And we're a long way up. 23 floors. Anyway, yeah, so this is my setup. I brought some drop sheets to put on the floor because it's kind of dirty. I swept up as best as I could, but I just don't want my blankets and pillows and everything getting disgusting. But it's decent setup. Pretty comfortable. Way more space than the bathtub. It can stretch out in any direction. And this time I brought a drink. Yeah. Nice acoustics in here. So, you're just gonna have to hang out with me. And we'll talk a bit. Yeah, that's my stuffy, just for moral support, because for the sheer amount of time that I've been talking on my phone while I make these videos, it's easy to feel like you're starting to go insane, because in reality you're just talking to yourself. But this is just a really bizarre journey we're all on. So I decided to set up a couple of little cameras in my bedroom when I'm not at home in the dead of night. I want to see if I can catch it on camera. I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth a shot. I don't know if it's an animal. I mean, it's got to be something that's supernatural, but if people are able to kill them, I don't know. I don't really know anything about supernatural entities. Can you kill them? It's actually really nice up here while the rain is pouring. I haven't been up here when it's been raining so hard. I know it's beautiful out there. Anyways, yeah, back to these things. Can supernatural beings be killed? I don't know. If they can, because these things are, then maybe they're preternatural? Is preternatural stuff that happens, like weird stuff that happens in the earthly realm on this planet that's unexplainable, but supernatural stuff is, I don't know. I mean, I guess it has to happen on this planet as well, because people have had supernatural encounters before, right? Maybe supernatural is related to spirituality or religion or something, like ghosts and demons and angels and stuff like that. If you know, let me know. I'm just going to get under my top cover. So, basically what I've been telling my friends is that I've been having issues with my landlord. Actually, I mean, technically I kind of have. Someone was living in my building who I was friends with, and they caught the landlord coming into their apartment. They weren't home, but they had a suspicion that the landlord was coming into their apartment, so they set up a hidden camera, and they caught the landlord in their place without any announcement or any warning. And so of course they ended up immediately moving out and suing the landlord. The messed up thing about it is that the manager is still working for this building. So even though my friend is gone, I've basically told everyone that I can in the building that this manager has a problem. And so I think that pretty much all of the women have set up cameras in their apartments, like right over their door, so that if anyone comes in, it goes off on their phone because it's all attached by Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever. So they get these alerts, these motion sensor alerts. It's been really useful, and I haven't heard anything about the manager going into anyone else's place. Maybe someone tipped him off, but I've got one in my place too. And I installed extra locks on my door as well, so that when I'm in my place, it's not just the one lock that he can unlock and come in. He'd have to be able to unlock all the locks that I've locked on the inside of my door. So I think that's good. I can't really do any better than that. I also have this crazy door alarm, but I don't really use it anymore because I think that the extra locks that I added are more than enough, combined with the camera. Yeah. Oh yeah, so back to the cameras that I want to set up in the bedroom. I think I want to set one up in my bathroom, leave the bathroom door open, and set it up like in the deepest, darkest depths of my tiny bathroom, just kind of facing behind my bed. Because basically, if you're in my bathroom and you're sitting on the toilet, you can see directly behind my bed. that's where the camera needs to be. And I think I'll set up another camera right at the entrance to my bedroom, like looking through my bedroom entranceway, because my bedroom doesn't have a door to it. It's just a wide open arch. I think that's a good idea. That way it covers the entrance to the bedroom if the creature leaves, and the actual space where the creature stays. I think that's good. It'll be interesting to test out, because what I plan to do basically is use like a red light or something, some kind of light with the color, or like a blue light, something that's not super bright and fluorescent. Obviously it's not going to be daylight, and we'll see if when I set those lights up, if the creature even shows up when it gets dark. Maybe it'll sense the light or see the light, that kind of light, and it just won't show up. And if that's the case, then maybe I just leave those lights on permanently, and then I can get my place back. I don't know. I don't know if that's a right idea though, because I can't forget. I grabbed that thing and those 2 trunks for a reason. I mean, I saw it, so I took it. And I saw the trunks, and so I took them. And there's something bigger that's going on here. I need to get to the bottom of it. I need to figure out what this creature is, where it comes from. I want to be able to get to the point where I can hopefully communicate with it or something. I'm sure that there are other people that are doing this as well, or trying to do this. I'm sure that the government has tons of them collected, and I don't know if they have them in cages or something. I'm sure they've figured out just as much as I have that during the daytime they just disappear, so the cages don't even work. And if that's the case, then at nighttime, do they just show back up in the cages, or are they just gone? I have so many questions, but nothing's being released on the news about what's actually happening with these creatures and what they're learning from them. I mean, it's not like it's going to calm everybody down. It's not like it's going to quell the panic nationwide. Like, that's evident. It's already there. There's like a kind of weird psychosis that's gone through everyone with the stuff that's happening in the States. And now this, and all of this stuff happening after the pandemic. It's like everyone's screws are loose. It's almost like people were waiting for an opportunity to snap. Do you know what I mean? I can hear the wind out there too. Wind and rain. It's gonna wash all the snow away. I guess that's good. If any of the creatures in the swamp were frozen under all of that snow and ice, they'll be free now. When they're gone in the daytime, who knows what they're doing or where they are. You know, I had a thought, actually, after I have another drink. Well, I guess I had a few thoughts. So what if these creatures are like, they're like atoms? You know how our atoms sort of are here and they're gone, they're here and they're gone, but nobody's been able to figure out where they go when they're gone. I mean, it happens in like a fraction of a quadrillionth of a nanosecond, right? But in that split moment where they're somewhere else, nobody knows where they go. You've got to be able to hear that wind and rain. Hear that? It's vicious outside. There's a breeze that's coming through the door crack right there. It's nice, because it's hot in here. Anyway, back to the atoms. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, what if these creatures are kind of like atoms, but not? Maybe that's a bad analogy. Like, I think I had the thought about dematerialization, or like jumping dimensions or something. Interdimensional beings. What if these creatures are interdimensional beings and during the day, because they essentially completely disappear? And you know, I haven't actually heard if, for the ones that have died, the ones that have been killed, the ones that have been dissected, if during the day their bodies disappear. I wonder if they have magic powers or something and the whole creature just is gone, or if once they're killed, their ability to disappear stops and you're just left with the husk of a body after that. I don't know. But if they do dematerialize, or they're interdimensional beings, then maybe during the day they're on some other planet, or maybe on another Earth, in a different dimension or a parallel universe. But then the question would be, why did they come back? Why have they showed up in the first place? And why do they come back every night? What's the point? So I'm excited to share all of the insane things that are in these two trunks with you. I think the plan is, what I'll do is in one video, I'll do one trunk, and in the second video, I'll do another trunk. And then in the first video, when I open the first trunk, I'll kind of lay out all of the items so that we can look at them, and then we'll kind of go over each item one by one. Yeah. And if there's something really complex in one of the trunks, maybe that item will just have its own video. I think that makes sense, because I don't want to make videos that are like 2 or 3 hours long. I mean, that's intense. But at the same time, I don't want to rush through things, especially if there are clues that we can find. Especially clues that might prove or disprove that the trunks belong to the creature. I know, it's weird. It's a weird thought. I don't think I'll be able to find any proof just by looking at the items, though. Maybe. The main thing is being able to not be afraid of the creature and exist with it, communicate with it. I've kind of tested the waters, and I've asked my friends what they've been thinking about all of this madness going down, and if they thought about going out looking for a creature to catch. They all had the same response. Let's just say it wasn't positive. They all freaked out. I mean, some of them were like, "Are you crazy? That's so illegal. We'll get thrown in jail if they figure that out." Blah, 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 which is true. I mean, that's what it says. That's what keeps being broadcast everywhere. Don't touch them. Don't interact with them. Don't try to take a piece of them. We don't know if they're carrying diseases. We don't know what they are. Blah, blah, blah. And then some of my friends are are pretty curious. And so they've been trying to find more information online, like stuff that's been leaked, but their efforts have been not rewarded. They've been pretty fruitless. But I'm positive that other people have them too. And I wish I could connect with those people. Someone at least, to see what their experience is like, and if they've had better luck or they're more confident than I am when it comes to interacting with these creatures. I don't know if the thing that I've got is male or female or genderless. I don't know if it breeds. I don't know how old it is. All I know is that from the little bits and bobs of information that have been released about them so far, their physiology is human, but they've got other animal characteristics. And from the mythology books that I've been reading throughout human mythology, what's been consistent is the creation of animal-human hybrids. And because biologists so far haven't said that anything about these creatures is alien or is completely unrecognizable, even though they don't know exactly what they are, they're clearly of this earth. They're some kind of hybrid. The hybrid it's like it hasn't been documented in human mythology, or it has and I'm missing it. I'm missing what the creature is. Maybe it's some kind of a creature that's in African mythology and that's why I'm not finding it, or Nordic mythology or Asiatic mythologies. Who knows? Some culture's got to have a record of what this is. It's got to have been here before. But again, I don't know what the purpose, what's the purpose of anything, I guess? What's the purpose of humanity? All we're doing is fucking shit up, right? Yeah, let's scratch that idea about trying to figure out why they're here. I don't think that really makes a difference. What's more important is why they're emerging, I guess. And that's the thing. I know I keep talking about it. I'm probably going to keep talking about it a million times over, so hope you don't get sick of this. But if it was something that had to do with African mythology, then maybe the creatures would only pop up on the continent of Africa or in a specific country, right? Or if it was South American mythology, it would only pop up there. And that brings me to something else, another thought. What if this has nothing to do with mythology? Because mythology is, I guess we don't necessarily know for sure if all mythology is complete mythology, or if it's got a seed of truth to it somewhere, and then just over thousands and thousands of years, or hundreds and hundreds of years, it just became something unbelievable. But in the beginning, with the first accounts, it must have been based on something real, right? Unless it was one of those Hans Christian Andersen things, like fairy tales and fables, where you tell a story that you create, or that your grandmother created in order to keep you in line as a child, because there's a point to the story. There's a lesson to be learned, just to scare you into complying. But my other thought was, if it's not in mythology, if these creatures aren't anywhere in any kind of mythology all over the planet, maybe they're in history books. What if indigenous people have an oral history of these things? I guess I'm thinking like cryptids, We assume, most rational people assume that cryptids aren't real. I'm a rational person. But I never thought that these creatures would ever arise on Earth. I don't think I ever could have even imagined that something like this could have happened in my lifetime. So, as a rational person, what's happening right now just doesn't make any fucking sense. If it's happening in real life and everybody's experiencing this right now, you, me, everyone on the planet, and everyone's dealing with it in different ways. All the governments are dealing with it in their own unique ways. This has to be recorded in history somewhere if this has happened before. This can't be the first time. Right? Like, what would cause these things to suddenly show up? Is this some kind of a biblical plague or something? Because I know the religious fanatics are going insane right now. They're thinking that, this is the beginning of the end of days or whatever. I have to pace a bit. Let's just go up and down the stairs and I'll try to be as quiet as possible. It's really early. I think it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway. I won't put my shoes on because they'll make noise going up and down the stairs. History. The emergence, why they're here. Do they live in the ground, in the deepest, darkest layers of the earth? They just clawed their way out, or were they just transported? What was the trigger? What was the trigger for them to show up? Maybe it was climate change, the fact that really big, catastrophic things are happening with the weather all over the planet right now. It's like simultaneous catastrophic weather events. Is that what triggered them to show up? And if they're here because of that reason, then why? Like, why for that reason? I don't usually stay up this late. I mean, I'm more likely to try and stay up as late as I possibly can until the sun starts to come up when I'm in my place, in my bathroom. Because I know it's right outside the door. But up here, I've got a greater false sense of security. So, I can sleep up here, but I'm not ready yet. I still have more thoughts. What's triggering these creatures to show up? I mean, is it a thing where we've just fucked up our planet so properly, so thoroughly at this point, that we've set some kind of a chain reaction or a course of events into motion that's careening us toward the end? And of course, humanity is perpetually oblivious. I mean, not so much now. We know that things are bad. We know that things are gonna get really, really bad. Worse. Particularly in developed countries. In developing countries, things are already worse. Worse than worse. Maybe it's a thing where the train is officially off the tracks now, and that's the reason why these things have showed up. What's that sound? Do you hear that? What the fuck is that? weird droning sound. I wonder what time it actually is. I should check. I just checked. It's 4:13. I'm gonna have to try to go to sleep soon. I hope nobody finds me up here. It's gonna be so fucked if they do. They'll probably think I'm a squatter or something. This would actually be a pretty good place for a squatter. It's so warm up here. If they brought all of their bedding, if they had access in and out of this building, they could totally live up here. Until the maintenance guys showed up, then the gig would be up. Man, I totally lost my train of thought. Let's have another drink. Sure, that's not helping. Yeah, right. The end of days. Ever read that Stephen King book, The Langoliers? They made a movie about it too. It was these creatures that existed. They existed in yesterday, and they basically were responsible for eating. Oh, what's my stomach? My stomach needs to just calm the fuck down. It's not getting anything at this hour, good God. So anyways, the Langoliers, they were responsible for eating yesterday. They're like these monsters that live in space. And on the timeline of events, yesterday can never be revisited because these creatures, the Langoliers, they eat the day before. So you can always travel to the future, but you can never travel back in the past. You can't go back because it's gone. I'm not gonna go into the whole movie, but basically something happens to these people who are all these different people who are unconnected, who are just riding in a passenger plane. I think they're all headed to some particular state in the US. Something happens while they're in the air and they're flying. They go through like a wormhole or something, or like a rip in time, and suddenly everybody's asleep, everybody passes out, or maybe it's only the people, I can't remember. It's been so long since I watched the movie. Maybe it was only the people that stayed awake that stayed on the plane. Anyways, the plane is flying in the dead of night, and something happens. The plane is just coasting, I guess. And eventually people start to realize that something is wrong in the plane. I think maybe all of the people that fell asleep disappeared. I think that's what it was. And so the people who are actually awake during this time warp or this time rip or something, they're looking around and they see all of these things left behind from all the people that are gone, like fillings and like headphones and stuff that people were wearing, blankets, stuff that people had on their bodies. I think like a pacemaker or something too. All the people were just gone. And so there was like a panic. And the people who were left on the plane had to figure out how to land the plane. One of the people who was on the plane had a pilot's license or something like that. They figured out how to land, and once they got off the plane, something was just like really weird about the state that they landed in. I can't remember which one it was, some airport. Maybe it was Chicago, who knows? New York, I don't know. Everything was weird though. Everything was muted. There was no sound as soon as they got off the plane. Like people could hear each other, but it was almost like there was no echo, or there was just no resonance. And when they walked into the airport was completely empty. There was no people anywhere. And they had been on the plane for so long, and they had gone through this traumatic event of trying to land the plane because the pilots were gone. Everybody was gone. Aside from this small group of people and this one maniac. Oh God. Anyway, they were drinking drinks at the airport and eating food, and the food had no flavor and the drinks were completely flat. It was really, really bizarre. Long story short, because I'm sure you're not going to watch the movie, spoiler alert, they went through some sort of wormhole or rip in time, and they were in yesterday, and that's why everything was weird. It was because all of the things that brought life to the planet, life to the day, everything had just moved into the future, into the next day, but they had gone one day back, and so everything was lifeless. It was devoid of any substance. Really, really creepy. Really, really creepy movie. What was even creepier about it was that there was this sound that nobody could hear except for this one guy, and I think this little girl could hear it too. It was very, very faint. And they kept saying that they could hear the sound, but people thought they were just insane until it started to get louder, and the sound got louder and louder and louder until it was almost deafening and it was undeniable. It was this crunching sound, this grinding, crunching, gnashing, masticating sound. And you know what it was? It was hundreds of thousands of these creatures called 𝔻𝕟𝕢𝕚.
Look at that! We gotta get out of here! We gotta get out of here now!
Make it stop! Please make it stop!
The 𝔻𝕻𝕚𝕚 came out of space and they were responsible for eating yesterday. That was their food. These cosmic monsters they fed off of yesterday. And so all of these people needed to figure out how to leave yesterday and get the fuck out back into the sky. They needed to figure out how to reverse what the fuck happened. I barely remember the movie, as you can tell, but somehow they managed to figure it out. But there was an issue with the gas in the plane. Once the plane landed, the gas just stopped functioning, like everything. All the clocks stopped working. The gas stopped working. It's like it lost its energy. All of the carbonated beverages in the airport went flat, you know, all that kind of stuff. The sound was muffled. Somehow somebody found gas that was like still working, but I don't remember why it was still able to work. And the maniac man who was on the plane, who was like the evil character in the movie, the villain, who was basically this businessman who was absolutely fucking psychotic. He was like one of those, you know, super intense Wall Street psychopaths who was perpetually freaking out about, what was the time? I need to get on that fucking plane. I've got a meeting. I've got to go. But he wasn't like panicked. He was just perpetually enraged and completely unhinged. And he did like a lot of violence in the movie. It was really terrifying. Anyways, they all managed to get on the plane. And they wouldn't let him on the plane because he was insane. There's a lot more to this story. It's all starting to come back to me now, but something having to do with his dad. And his dad, you know, was always screaming at him in his ear, but nobody could hear, obviously, because it was his psychosis. You know, his dad being like, you know, you'll amount to nothing. I can't believe that, you know, you're going to miss this interview. And he was always hearing that in his ears, but like nobody else could hear it, which was driving him insane. Anyways, they wouldn't let him on the plane. And the 𝔻𝕻𝕚𝕚 got him. The 𝔻𝕻𝕚𝕚 got him. They ate him. When they were eating up yesterday, they ate him too. And the plane managed to get away. Managed to take flight and use that fuel, and everybody got on the plane and they were able to fly away. And they just watched him down on the ground on the tarmac just get devoured by these 𝔻𝕻𝕚𝕚s, along with everything else that they were looking at. All the trees, the airport, everything was just being chewed to dust. Yeah, so the point of the 𝔻𝕻𝕚𝕚 story was basically, what if these creatures only show up or only arrive on planets when, like, the planet's getting ready to end. It can't be when a whole species is going to go extinct or something, because a whole species go extinct on a very regular basis on this planet and probably on other planets for any number of reasons. It can't be that. And the human species is no different than any other species. Although it's parasitic, it's destructive. Maybe that's why these things have shown up, is because of the sheer amount of damage that we're doing to this planet. Maybe they're here like the 𝔻𝕟𝕢𝕚 to just wipe us out, instead of arriving to eat yesterday. They're here to swallow us, to remove us from the ecosphere. Anything is possible, I guess, at this point. Yeah. I think I'm gonna try to sleep. I think with the combination of my drink and the rain and the wind and the warmth in here and being able to talk all of this out, it's taken some weight off of me. Thanks for listening. I'll set my alarm for a couple of hours. 4 to 5, 5 to 6. I'll get up by 6:30. That'll at least give me a couple of hours and the sun will be coming up by then. I can just head back down to my place. If you're watching this and it's the dead of night where you are, or early morning, hope you have a good sleep. Good night. It's daytime now. This is definitely a safe place, I think. Now I can go back home.